beauties and gents, welcome, welcome. Whether you're listening or watching, I'm so glad you are here. Welcome to this episode or IG Live or YouTube's or whatever, wherever this ends up. This one's going to be a Lemon Water and Woke Words live, a little episode here. With this series that I developed, this Lemon Water and Woke Words, I really like to focus a little bit more on the wellness side, a little bit more on the spiritual side, unlike my other series, which is a little bit more mindset, a little bit more business. And this one was really fun because I let you guys, I'm a sucker for a good quote. And I realized I love dissecting them. I love analyzing them. I love seeing how they relate to me, to my life, to other people, all the things. So I always usually pick a quote for this type of series. And this time I let you guys turn in your own quotes that you want me to riff on. And that was really fun because you guys came up with some really good ones. And then I let you guys vote on it. So the one that won for this one was a Maya Angelou quote. It says, when we give cheerfully and accept gratefully, everyone is blessed. And I have much to riff on with this quote, especially this year, because so much comes up when it comes to the energy of giving and receiving for me. And to be quite honest with you, it's not something that I have processed fully, and I don't think I'm ever going to really process fully, to be honest with you. I think this is one of those things that the work is always being done because I've had my share of experiences in terms of abundance, money mindset, worthiness, all the things, right? And this energy of giving and receiving, I've realized is another element that came up that I needed to work on, basically. So at the beginning of this year, I always kind of choose a word that kind of drives my year. And this year, and I just kind of tune in, journal it out, whatever. And this year, the word that had come up for me was generosity. So I was like, cool, I love being generous. I love giving. I already felt so abundant, I guess. So I thought cool, piece of cake. I'm just gonna give my little heart out and know that, the return is going to be there. The value is going to be there. On the other side, people are going to benefit. And then, I started out with I got this next download that I wanted to do in my Pilates practice. I wanted to do donation classes, right? So I have these charities, and I guess I've always been super philanthropic, because every little business endeavor that I've ever thought up, I've also thought up a philanthropic side to it, like a charity or something like that. So they've always gone hand in hand with me. Just naturally, I just it's the only reason I want to create anything is so that I could give, right? So, and so we'll go into why that was so substantial of a learning for me this year. And I'll tell you the story, but yeah, I've always kind of had that desire to just give. And I guess I'll just let you know now, the biggest thing that I learned is wow, I have to work on receiving as well. And I had no idea that I had such an issue with receiving. So at the beginning of this year, just to give you guys some little background, I decided to do some charity classes. So I have 3 charities that I'm really, that really are near and dear to my heart. And I thought, what a beautiful thing that I get to exchange my energy in my Pilates practice and give these classes in exchange for donations to these charities. And they were all on an honor-based system. It's pay whatever donate whatever you want, sign up for the class, donate whenever you want, whatever you want, and whenever you want. And what I noticed is that they just didn't do as well. Not as many people would sign up for them. And they just left me feeling not great. like it left me feeling just not great. It was not the result that I was looking for or wanted or intended on having in terms of like, you know, really giving back to these charities and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, something is off here. The energy is off. Like, you know, I think that what happened was that people were kind of, because they were technically donation based and free, people were kind of just undervaluing them. And I know the value of my, you know, Pilates classes, because they're just a tool to really, you know, literally like build the life of your dreams off that mat, and the business of your dreams, or whatever you want off that mat, because you're practicing the skills that you need on your mat in order to do that off of it. So it's incredible value. And I know I give everything I have in those classes. And they were just not being received as well. Right. So I realized like that energy was just really off, but I couldn't really put my finger on why. And then, you know, being, again, still feeling like I'm in overflow and stuff like that, still wanting to stay true to that word, I decided to do like a week's long giveaway of just like all this sponsored stuff that I had, some not even sponsored, just like my favorite things, and like I bought them and sent them out to whoever won the prize. But it was a week-long thing, and again, that kind of went not as planned. So it just didn't feel great. I felt really depleted after like the third day, and I just realized the energy was just so off. And I realized I wasn't doing anybody any favors. I wasn't doing myself any favors. I wasn't doing my students any favors, and I wasn't doing any of these charities any favors. But in a sense, like undervaluing the work that I was doing, undervaluing the things that I was giving, because when you receive, right, and when you give, it's really never about you. And that's what I realized. It's really never about you. And I'll go into that a little bit more in a little bit. But when that energy is off, right, because you need both. You need both. You need to equally be able to receive just as much as you're able to give, and vice versa, because you can't give what you haven't been able to receive. So I touch on this a lot in my wellness practice as well, right? Because I feel like you have to fill your cup up first, which is why I, you know, really value a wellness routine, so that, you know, you feed your mind, your body, and yourself everything that you need in order to be full, to be a whole person. And then you have that overflow, and you don't just give the rest of yourself to somebody. You give your full self to whatever situation and the people around you and the people in your life, right? So you don't just give what's left over, or even when you're running on fumes, right? Because that's not giving of your best self, right? That's giving of the leftovers, the depleted version of you. So I really understood this, and I heard that lesson kind of loud and clear, that the energy was just off, and that meant that I wasn't doing anybody any favors. Nobody was really getting the most that they could out of any of those situations, right? Whether it's they're winning something, or they're taking a class, or whatever it is. And I feel like I didn't know that I had such an issue with receiving, because I used to have a physical business, right? It was much different than having a virtual business. Now with a virtual business, it's so easy. It's like, oh, here's a link. I've already done the work. Why not? Here it is, you know? And when you have a regular business, or a product-based business, or, you know, brick and mortar-based business, it's like the exchange is very clear. And I don't want to turn this into a business thing, but it's just a very good example. The exchange is very clear. It's like product for money, or time for money, right? And when you have a virtual business, the work is usually already front loaded, and, you know, now it's just about sending you a link or whatever, right? Which it's like, and then again, it just goes back to that fact that it's like, it's not about the time for money or the product for the money. It's about the energy exchange. And that's the truth. Because when you receive, you know, it's about the other person. And when you give, it's about the other person. And it really just has nothing to do with you. And in a sense, you kind of block that energy either going either way when you're not giving or you're not receiving, right? So let me just check my notes here. I noticed that I really needed to look at my relationship with giving and receiving, and I realized that I really needed to work on my ability to receive, because I have big dreams to give. So in order to have big dreams to give, I have to have big dreams to receive as well. So yeah, so that's what I started working on. And I know you guys relate to this, and I'm going to share what I've been doing in order to work on that relationship of giving and receiving. And I know you guys can relate to this because, again, I've had giveaways. I did this Starbucks giveaway just the other day. Hello. Just the other day. And I mean, like last month or something like that, when I was spending a lot of time in Starbucks, and I was having a really tough time with my daughter sleeping and stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, I want to turn this kind of hardship that I was having. I don't know if you call it it was stressful or whatever, but I don't know if I could call it hardship, but it was this hard little time, this time that I'm having with my daughter's sleep regression and stuff like that. It was very stressful. And I want to turn this into a smile. So I'm going to buy somebody a Starbucks. So I got like a digital Starbucks. I posted it on my feed, and I was like, whoever wants it, whoever needs it, whoever is the first to get there. And it was a little bit of it, because I know I've been with, dealing, with this concept since the beginning of the year. And it was a little test for me to see like if other people also kind of deal with this. And lo and behold, it took like 3 days for somebody to claim that free Starbucks gift card, And I was like, wow, like, but the thing is like every message that I got was like, oh my God, that's so nice of you. I hope somebody really deserving claims it. And I'm like, you can claim it. You can be deserving. You like Starbucks? You want a drink? You can have it, right? And that's the thing, is like sometimes, the ability to receive has so many underlying things come about. And like, that's what I started doing work on, is like, where is this, where is this shame coming from? Where is this like non-ability to receive coming from? Why, and because I know it's going to be so important for me in my business, in my life, to fulfill this desire of like to give greatly, right? So I really need to figure this out. So here are some of the things that I did. Some were big and some were small. And again, I'm still on this because I've had such a long journey with this relationship, and this is just another layer of what it is. So hold on, I'm going to turn off the comments. So this is what I did. So I know you guys can relate to this, because a lot of you can't even take a compliment. And that was me. That's when I realized like, okay, like I can't even take a compliment. Like, so now, so here are some of the things. So one of the first things I did was I just got really intentional about working on my relationship with giving and receiving. Okay. So especially the receiving part, right? And I would notice anytime somebody wanted to like pay me for something or give me something, how often I was like, no, please, like, no, please let me pay or whatever. Let me do this or let me do that. I was like, okay, like I just took that as a sign of like, I am blocking my ability to receive, and I'm also blocking their ability to give. So I would have some hard convos. If I really wanted to do something for free or whatever, I would have some hard convos with people. And I would say, listen, I want to make sure that the exchange is going to be good and equal and for the both of us, right? Because again, it's not just about you, it's about the other person as well. So I had some hard convos about what the exchange really was, to make sure that I still felt in alignment with giving my services or whatever it is, favors or whatever it is, for free. Okay. So, and again, this was another fear of mine, was like, okay, like I'm working on this this concept of giving and receiving. Am I never going to be able to give anything away for free again? And that's not the case. That wasn't the case. I see now that things are so balanced in this world that when I have, when I take the time and I tune in, just like I did, instead of just, reacting or giving or receiving however I wanted, instead of doing that, I actually really did tune in and see what it felt like. And I would give people a chance, and it turned out to be a very great partnership, or, kind of, pro bono kind of thing that I've done and stuff like that. So, it still panned out. It still was the energy was still right. So that made me feel really good that I could still give freely, in that sense, and things are still balanced out in some other way. Okay. So I did have those hard combos that were hard combos in the sense that they were uncomfortable. They were like, what am I going to get? Like, I just wanted to make sure that the energy was going to be aligned and everybody was going to get and receive what they wanted out of it, right? Everybody was going to benefit. And the second thing I did is I just said thank you, period, right? When people would compliment me, when people would give me something, I'd just be like, thank you, right? Because sometimes I think we're so quick to be like, somebody's like, oh my God, I like your shirt. Like, thanks, it's only like $5 and you can get it on sale. And like, oh my God, like, oh, or even worse, you like downplay it. Like, oh my God, I really love like your hair. Oh my God, thanks. But, it's been like really like dry lately. And like, I don't know, like I've been having such an issue with it. Like you like downplay it. It's not that pretty. Like, look at all these split ends. Like, I don't know, things like that. Right. So like that's even worse. Right. So instead I just practice saying, thank you, period. And again, that's uncomfortable sometimes, right? You just have to like sit there and be like, oh, because the fear that comes up is like, oh, this person's like, it's the underlying fear. This is why sometimes we have such a problem with receiving like that, because sometimes we're like, oh my God, this person's going to think that, I'm conceited or something like that. Or they're going to, think like, oh, well, I didn't give a compliment back or whatever. But I just took a time later on to like, shoot them their own compliment that wasn't piggybacking off of what they were giving at the moment. Yeah. So that's what I did. The next thing I also did was an abundance log. So at the end of the night, I really just jotted down everything I received that day, whether it was like unexpected money, whether it was a compliment, whether it was, I don't know, a smile, whatever it is. I really just started getting very conscious of everything that I was receiving, so that, this really helps my subconscious mind say like, give me evidence that I'm able to receive. I'm able to receive and that I am receiving, because sometimes a lot of those things go unnoticed and unappreciated, right? So it was a really good exercise for me to really, bring those things to light. The next thing I did was I looked for other people that I admired that were very generous, and I saw how they were with receiving. And what I realized is like, they're really good with receiving, actually, right? Like they give a lot and they also have a lot. And they're really like, because I know some of these people personally and stuff like that, and some people I don't know personally, but I can tell like they're just really good at receiving as well. They are just, it's almost like this non-lack mentality of like, I know I can give as much because I know I'm going to get as much. So I think that was the disconnect for me, is like, because I did suffer from a lack mentality for a really long time, coming from childhood, and I'll get into that in a little bit later, is that I didn't feel like, even though I had such a desire to give, there was a subconscious thing going on where I thought like, oh, I'm not going to have enough later on, even though I felt an overflow consciously and stuff like that. I still felt there was something still kind of going on autopilot underneath it all, saying like, oh, I'm still in this lack mindset, right? I might not have a lot later on or something like that. So these are not things that you say consciously to yourself, but they're just kind of going on underneath the surface, right? So let me turn, now that the weirdos are off the gram, let me turn my commenting back on. Anyways, so that's what I did. And then finally, the last thing that I did, because of the work that I do, because of the things that I've studied, and I'm studying, I did a lot of subconscious work, a lot of reprogramming, neural reprogramming, you know, just like a lot of belief work, things like that, with different rituals and stuff like that, things that I did every day, and then techniques that I did with the work that I do, like the NLP work that I do, the hypnotherapy stuff that I do, like all of that really deep subconscious work to see what was the root of these, of my not, like my ability to not really receive as much, right? And there was a lot that kind of came up for me, things that I did not expect, things that I was like, that's what it is, you know. And again, like your subconscious mind, the way it works, it just, especially when you're just like 0 to 7, right? You're just like a sponge. You're just like taking things in, and you don't have the ability to say, like, you know, to think critically. You don't have the ability to be like, oh, that's not personal, or that's not true, or something like that. You just like take it all in. So there was a lot of things that were just kind of underlying, like playing in the background, that were like affecting me in that way. So I would say that those were the biggest, that was like the biggest game changer for me, for sure. The rituals and other things that I did, that were more practical, that you can take away, you know, right now and apply right now. Those were really, really, really helpful as well. But ultimately I like to go fast. So I went straight to my subconscious, and I saw the things that were coming up. And it's so funny because, I mean, I've been away from home for about 13 years. And, you know, the place that I grew up and stuff, next to, you know, near my parents. And we came back obviously here to be closer to my family, so that, you know, my daughter could be raised near my family and stuff like that. And what I've noticed is hanging out more with my mom, because this lady is like an angel, right? She's like, the way I would describe her, she's so selfless, right? And that's how I would always describe her. But now, like, just being older and really understanding this kind of, these kind of concepts and stuff like that, wow, like I can see like where I got some of that thinking from, because she can't take anything from anybody. Like, we try to give her birthday presents or Christmas presents, we have to end up returning them. That's how bad it is. Like, she'll take them in the moment, and then like later on just be like, no, I need you to take this back. Like, I try to take her on vacations with me and stuff like that, and it's just like, it's so stressful because she just doesn't want to take anything. She doesn't want to go to dinner with us, or she wants to pay for it, and, you know, we don't let her. And also she's just not a taker at all. And like, I used to, you know, really admire her, and I mean, I still do, but I used to really admire this characteristic of her, of being so selfless, because I feel like she was so giving to all of her kids and stuff like that. But there is a balance, right? There's a balance that is a little bit off there, and it would serve her to be able to receive a lot more. So I can see like where I probably got a lot of that from. Not to mention, like, I'm the youngest of 7 kids, so and I didn't grow up with much, so there was always like this really big lack mentality, and things surrounding money and finances and stuff like that, and just resources in general. So you know, all of that stuff is something that I had to work through, using my NLP techniques, using hypnotherapy, using EFT rituals, and all the other little rituals and practical things that I mentioned before. So those are all my takeaways. And yeah, I decided to call all these things takeaways, because they're not tips, because that's too fluffy. They're not secrets, you know what I mean? Like, I'm an open book. They're not advice, really, even though they're from my own life. These are things that you can take away and do right now, today. Okay, so if you feel like you've had this, you know, you have a weird relationship with this, with like giving and receiving, with abundance, with money mindset, with worthiness, with all those things, because a lot of people use all those things very interchangeably with self-esteem, then, you know, some of these things will definitely can help you. And I definitely think that, you know, even though those words are used interchangeably, they're much different, and they come from a much different energy, and they come from much different belief systems that you have that are going on inside of you. So that's what I'll offer to you. If you do want to go deeper into this work with me, if you know that you have some limiting beliefs about money or worthiness, or you have, you know, a fear of lack or anything like that, and you want to dive deeper, I am taking applications for either my one-on-one intensives, which are usually just goal setting or business audits, and they are 90 minutes long. They're one call, and then you get a week's worth of support to implement all the things that we have created in your action plan. So you'll definitely get a lot of clarity in there. You'll definitely get a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of wins, and momentum towards whatever it is that you're working towards. And then I also have my 3-month program, which we dive deep into like more mindset work, dive deep into the things that, and even in those business audits and goal settings, you will have the things that you will need to work on. So you'll know exactly what's blocking you and things like that, and then you can go off and work on them on your own. Or if you want to go faster, you want to take advantage of these techniques that really reprogram your mind and your subconscious, then you know, you definitely want to sign up for my 3-month program so that we can, you know, dive deep on every one of those concepts and things like that. And of course, we touch on so much more. So if you want to chat about that, definitely DM me the word coach, and then we can talk about it, and we can see what's right for you, if it's right for you, if we vibe, and if not, it's okay. You know, I always have either a lot of free resources, or I can refer you to somebody else. So and let me know. Let me know what your biggest takeaways were, if anything in here resonated with you. If you were like me, where you're like, I didn't even know I had a receiving issue, and now I'm like thinking about this. Seriously. And again, the last thing
I don't know what you mean by.
Oh, the last thing I want to leave you with, the biggest takeaway, if you don't take away from any of these other things, is when you receive and when you give, just remember, it's never just about you. It is about the other person. So I have this conversation a lot with my clients, especially when they're trying to price their programs and things like that. And a lot of them have very good natured spirits and stuff, and they just want to help, just like me. I totally understand it. But when you understand that it's not, the price is not about you, it is about the energy exchange for that other person. It's about them, you know, putting in the energy that they need in order to get the result that they need. It's never about you, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, whether it's a giveaway, whatever it is, a Pilates class, it's never about you. It is always about the other person and keeping that energy flowing back and forth in a balanced way. All right, beauties and gents, that is it for me. Again, DM me if you want to chat. Let me know if you watch the replay. Don't be a lurker in the comments. And also let me know your biggest takeaways and any questions you also might have. All right, talk soon.